right, good morning, middle school. Happy Founders Day. This is the kickoff to a really special day celebrating community, ideas, and also fun. We are going to start, as we always do in this space and others, with some shared silence in the manner of friends. While Founders Day has been a long tradition at Sidwell Friends, a newer part for middle school has been the inclusion in the Let Your Life Speak series, in which accomplished alums highlight the ways that they have taken some of the things that they learned or valued in their education here and developed them far beyond here into their lives. And today, to introduce our speaker, we have Brittany Toscano Gore, who is also an alum, and she's going to be introducing Albert Gore III.
Good morning, friends. You know now, my name is Brittany Toscano Gore, and I am a proud member of the class of 2003. It is a joy to be with you all here this morning. It's also an honor to serve for the 4th year now on the Let Your Life Speak committee. Throughout the winter and the spring, this committee, made up of alumni, comes together with students, Sidwell staff, and members of the broader Sidwell Friends community to plan Let Your Life Speak Day, which is a part of Founders Day. The program invites alumni from across generations to return to campus and share the stories that have shaped their lives. These reflections reveal the many ways that Sidwell graduates are making a difference in the world, defining success on their own terms and listening deeply for the path they are called to walk. They remind us that there is no single way or roadmap to a meaningful life, only a series of unfolding choices shaped by curiosity, courage, and a commitment to living with purpose. I first met this morning's speaker when we were both students here in the middle school, never imagining how important he would become in my life. It's a bit surreal to be here introducing him today. Albert Gore is currently the executive director of the Zero Emission Transportation Association, where he leads efforts to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles, advancing sustainability, environmental justice, domestic manufacturing, and clean energy jobs. A veteran of the clean technology space, Albert spent 7 years at Tesla Inc. Bless you. Prior to his departure from Tesla in 2022, he led public policy and business development across the Eastern and Midwestern United States. Before that, he served as Deputy Director of Policy and Electricity Markets at SolarCity, and earlier in his career, he served as Vice President of Business Development at Strategic Capital Partners. Albert is a graduate of the Sidwell Friends class of 2001. He holds a bachelor's in government from Harvard University and an MBA from Columbia Business School. Please join me in welcoming Albert.
Thank you, Brittany. In case anyone's wondering how I got this gig, my lovely wife is on the committee, so it's amazing to be back up on this stage. I think the last time I had a microphone on this stage was in 8th grade when I was the only new kid in the class, and somebody suggested that I run for president of the student government, which I said sure, and I won. I think I gave a speech about snacks and vending machines, and there was, I think, a story in the Washington Post where they called me a carpetbagger, which is an old derogatory term for a northerner moves to the south and runs for office in a place where he has no connections, which I kind of liked. It was a strange childhood, but it's good to be back. As Britt said, I am an advocate for electric vehicles, batteries, EV charging, and everything that goes along with it. And I had kind of a long, winding road to get to this job, but I really love it, and it's a really fascinating time to be working in clean energy, and particularly in electric vehicles. Does anybody here have an electric vehicle, or their family has an electric vehicle? That's amazing. That is amazing. Do you guys like it?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Yeah. That's a huge change from when I first started working in this industry. And we live in an area where there are a lot of EVs, but it's been an amazing thing to be a part of, an amazing thing to continue to try to support. So I want to talk a little bit about what I do, and then a little bit about what my time was like here at Sidwell, and even when I was younger, and some of the challenges that I've had in my life and that I've learned from, and maybe some of you guys will identify with too. So ZETA is a trade association, which, if you don't know what that is, it's when a bunch of businesses come together to try to speak with one voice on a set of issues that they care about. And ZETA is made up of companies from 5 different industries: the EV industry, the battery industry, so companies like Panasonic and LG and Samsung that make big EV batteries, electric utilities that make and deliver electricity, mining companies that mine and process minerals like lithium and manganese and cobalt and copper and nickel that go into batteries, and many, many other things, solar panels, a lot of things that power modern life. Charging companies like EVgo, ChargePoint that are trying to build out the national charging network, battery recyclers, and 50 companies across all these different industries sort of got together and said, we want to speak with one voice about how we can make a more rapid transition to electric vehicles. And there are many good reasons for that. But the primary reason for me is to help reduce pollution and to help make, hopefully, the earth cleaner in the future. So transportation is the biggest source of carbon emissions and the biggest opportunity very quickly to reduce those emissions in the near term. So just a quick snapshot of our member companies. Won't dwell on this, but we've got about 50 companies all across the supply chain. Tesla, Rivian, Lucid are the EV manufacturers. But, you know, Uber's there, Waymo, and a bunch of other companies too. This is what we try to impact. Everything from minerals that come out of the ground to battery manufacturing, EV manufacturing, charging, and then finally, at the end of the battery's life, making sure that we're capturing as much of the value of that battery as possible, recycling the mineral content, which you can do with really high efficiency, and put it back into your batteries. This is a visualization of what an electric vehicle battery looks like. These are all the different minerals that are in an EV battery by weight, and they're the size of the graphic here represents the weight of a given mineral in a battery. So graphite is the largest piece by weight. So you see aluminum, nickel, copper, steel, lithium, manganese, a little tiny bit of cobalt. And that's the average EV battery. we don't control where these minerals exist in the ground around the earth. And that makes it very challenging to figure out how to safely, responsibly bring them out of the ground, process them, and make sure that we can get EVs on the road. A little bit of good news, and I promise there aren't many slides like this. But this is the growth of EV adoption across the world over the last 15 years. I can't tell you how incredible this is to me as someone who started right here and really was part of a team and a broader community of folks that was laser focused on trying to get up here and beyond. And it's happening, and that's really exciting. As a percentage of new vehicles sold around the world, we're up to almost 20%. That's a huge deal. This is how it breaks down by region. The United States has to do a little bit more, hopefully not take any big steps backward. And that's where the work that we do comes in. Gas car sales are falling as a result of EVs taking that market share. That means less pollution in the future. The average car stays on the road like 16 years. So every little bit we can chip away from that means 16 years of fewer emissions from that vehicle. This is the cost of lithium-ion battery packs declining over that same period. We see this all the time with new technology, but we're seeing it with batteries too. And finally, the amount of investment that's going in to clean energy in the United States. So I'm not going to spend too much more time on that stuff, but I wanted to share a little video that one of our member companies, Rivian, put together. And I won't show necessarily the whole thing, but it is, I think, a good encapsulation of why this is so important.
You gotta get my slides back.
So that was RJ Scarange, who is the CEO of Rivian. Does anyone have a Rivian? Anyone have a Tesla? I worked for Elon for a long time, and I couldn't see him putting something like that out. I wish he did, but I was so moved when I saw that I wanted to share it with you guys. RJ is somebody who I think is in this for the same reason that I am. He's clearly motivated by that challenge, and he said it better than I could, and with cool visuals too. So one of the things that we do at ZETA is we try to affect the way laws are written, the way laws are enforced, the way regulations work. We work with the Environmental Protection Agency, with the Department of Transportation. We try to defend rules to make vehicles cleaner over time. Sometimes that's easier than others. It's hard right now. A lot of these things are being challenged by the current administration, which is just more motivating for me. RJ put that video out about 2 weeks after the election, and I took it as inspiration for those of us that are out there trying to make sure that we protect the gains that we made. So I want to say I didn't always set out to work in this field. I was a government major in college. I tried a bunch of different jobs after I graduated, and eventually went back to business school to try to figure out what it was I wanted to do. And I was lucky enough to work as a research assistant for a professor who was writing a book on renewable energy at the time. And this was a time before there was a ton of rooftop solar out there. And I was so fascinated by why there wasn't more, particularly in places where there's a lot of sun, like Florida or Arizona. And I learned, spoiler, it has a lot to do with government policy, usually state government policy in that case with solar. But I decided that's what I wanted to do. And so when I came out of business school, I went to work at what at the time was the biggest rooftop solar installer in the country, a company called SolarCity. Just so happened that Elon Musk was the biggest shareholder of SolarCity. He was the chairman of the board. And within about 9 months of me joining the company, Tesla acquired SolarCity. So all of a sudden, by accident, I was an EV advocate instead of a solar advocate. I still did some solar work, but it was a very exciting time to join Tesla. Tesla was about 1/20th of the size that it is now in terms of value and number of vehicles sold. I feel very lucky to have been there at that time. I have complicated feelings about Tesla, as imagine many of you do as well. I chose to leave in 2022 for a lot of reasons that I think stem from lessons I learned here, lessons I learned at home, and I'm very happy with the choice that I made. And I didn't know what was going to come next, but what happened is an opportunity to work at an organization that actually includes Tesla, but includes Rivian and so many other great companies, to do the same work, but for a different constituency, a much bigger group. And it's been really amazing. So I think it's probably not a coincidence that I ended up gravitating towards a job that felt fulfilling because it was somehow connected to climate change. When I was little, my dad was a member of Congress. He was in the House of Representatives for Tennessee. And eventually, when I was 2, he was elected to the Senate. And when I was 10, he was elected vice president. And that period of time where he was vice president overlapped with my period of time here at Sidwell. Not entirely, but I was in 4th grade when it started, and I came to Sidwell in 8th grade. So a good bit of it. And, you know, growing up, it just kind of felt normal. Except for when he ran for president in 1988 at the age of 39, which was increasingly shocking to me as I got closer to 39, and now it's 3 years ago for me. But he cared really deeply about this issue. He was inspired by a teacher that he had in college, and actually organized the first congressional hearings on climate change the year before I was born in 1981, and he brought his professor to testify, along with a number of other scientists from NASA and NOAA and EPA. And it was less controversial back then. It was more understood on the basic science of it. It was once they started talking about what to do about it that it really became more controversial. But it was an ever-present part of our life at home. And I think you tend to absorb things that you hear a lot about when you're growing up without really fully understanding them. But I learned a lot about the science of climate change, about the greenhouse effect. They called it global warming back then. Climate change became the term a bit later on. But it was an ever-present thing. And when I was 6 years old, this was after the 1988 presidential campaign, so it was 1989. I got hit by a car when I was crossing the street with my parents after a baseball game. And I was very, very seriously injured. For a few hours, it seemed like maybe I wouldn't survive. And thankfully, I was rushed to the hospital, went through surgery, broke my collarbone and my leg, and 7 of my ribs. I had to have my spleen removed. I was knocked unconscious. And I was in the hospital for a long time. I was in a body cast for months. My parents were with me the whole time. They sat in the hospital room. And one thing that happened was my dad, who had been advocating for these things in Congress, was inspired by me to write what became a really important book for him called Earth in the Balance. And I was, I guess, the metaphor for the earth. He said, you know, he couldn't imagine losing something that was so important to him, actually losing it. And that motivated him to write in that way about the planet and the future of the planet. And it became a theme that he's been talking about ever since. The good news is I recovered over a long period of time. But I lost the use of my right arm for months. I had to work very hard to get that back. You can ask my teachers if they think I fully recovered from the knock on the head. It's iffy. But through a lot of physical therapy, a lot of really painful work, I was able to walk again, run again, jump again. I played sports. You know, I had a lot of surgeries, but basically got all the way back to normal. And when I think about what I learned through that experience, I think primarily about 2 things. One is about resilience. I think about this a lot with my own kids. I have 3 kids, a 7, a 4, and a 2-year-old. And nobody likes to feel pain or discomfort. We are sort of pre-programmed to avoid it, whether it's physical or emotional. And if we know something is going to hurt, our brain tells us to find a way around it, or to get out of it. It's a survival instinct that helped our ancestors stay alive back before there were hospitals and surgeons. But sometimes we can't avoid that pain or the discomfort. And that's a really important part of building resilience. Sometimes it's a necessary part of getting better. And that was the case for me in the months after the accident. I wouldn't recommend getting hit by a car, but it was a powerful lesson in confronting the same pain every day when you can't really do anything about it and finding a way through it. That's really the lesson that you have to come to, is that if there's no way around it or through it, or out of it, you have to go through it. And the other thing is the people around you teach you how to handle it, and they show you can handle it. And there's no better evidence that you can handle something than knowing that you've already been through something similar, or maybe that same thing. And as I get older, I'm more appreciative of having had those experiences, and for sure about the people who helped me through them. The second thing that I really take away is gratitude. And the easy part of gratitude is all the people who were there and helped me out. My family, my friends, my neighbors, the community that sort of came together to support our family. Thinking about my parents is sort of overwhelming to think about what an impact I had on them. I know they struggled a lot with their own fear and anxiety related to it. And they channeled it into things in which they could find meaning. My mom struggled with depression afterwards and became a very vocal advocate for mental health care at a time when it was sort of not spoken about very much. But gratitude for the challenging experiences of what they meant, how I was able to find meaning in the hard things. That's something that has been really, really important to me in my life. I wish I could say that at 6 I had it figured out. I went through a lot of other hard stuff. That was by no means the most painful experience of my life either. Sometimes disappointment and failure mistakes that you make can hurt more than getting hit by a car. Take it from someone with experience. So it was a defining experience for me and for my family. I want to talk about what Sidwell really teaches and taught me, which I didn't sink in until later, but how important that aspect of community and how important personal integrity is to getting through those hard moments. And now, I do things that would have been scary to me a little while ago. Sometimes I have to go on TV and talk to interviewers, or I have to give speeches like this. So this is a pretty friendly crowd. I feel like I'm home here. But working through that fear is something that I think I learned through those challenging experiences. This was me, I think, when I was 6. This was 1992, when life really changed. When as Bill Clinton, who was elected president that year, that's me, obviously trying to make my way to the microphone, and my dad. This is me after the accident, a couple months later in a body cast, and then this was my dad after he wrote that book, and I turned that into something that was meaningful to him and a lot of people. So the good news is that, there are a lot of challenging things happening right now, and this type of political process that we're in, it's not the first time it's happened. It's different now, but sometimes it feels like we're living through the pages of a history book. That's how it felt really when I was in high school here. Maybe there's a chapter in the history book about the 2000 election, but it was a very, very challenging time. And I wish I could go back and tell myself how much hope was right around the corner when it really felt dark. But I do want to tell that to folks now who are concerned and afraid about what's happening in the political sphere. There are a lot of folks working really hard to create that hope. And I hope 20 years from now, we're looking back and knowing that there was a reason for hope right around the corner. Because I certainly didn't know that 20 years ago from today. But it's always true. So anyway, I want to be mindful of time. I want to make sure we make time for questions. So I think I will stop there and just open it up for questions on any part of that.